Alright, the pile of metal's getting bigger. We've got all this off the bottom. This piece here comes up around here is off. Here's an issue. I haven't found anybody on YouTube or anywhere that's actually addressed this, and maybe they have, but I haven't seen it. Okay, the quarter panel comes down here, comes around, follows this, and actually tucks up inside here. Okay, well, this is your tail panel. It's all one piece, and it's been welded a bunch all through there. Okay, so it's on there pretty good, and I'm not planning on taking it off because it doesn't need to be replaced. The issue is I've got to tuck that new quarter panel up underneath that. So as you can see, I've got a line here, marker. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my air saw and cut this little piece out, take it off, and then behind that I'll be able to get to those spot welds, cut all that crap off there. When I put the new panel on, it'll have the tab that goes up in here, and then I'll be able to weld it back on. Then I'll have to put this piece back on and weld it back on. That's the only, I mean, you can't get to it underneath. That's the only thing I can see. And again, I haven't seen anybody address this, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. The only other thing I could think would be if you just took a wheel and ground that out. But again, you want that tab to be welded inside there. Another good deal is, from what I understand, you see this radius here, the way that goes. When I put this new tail piece back on, a lot of times the fitment's pretty poor, from what I understand. So I'll be able to actually adjust this piece maybe to fit, and then fill this in here, because I'm going to have to slice and dice this whole panel anyway, I'm sure, from everything I've read so far. And I definitely see why people do partial quarters now, where they come across, basically across the seam of it in the center. Yeah, that'd been way easier. Do I think it's going to be as nice? No, not even close. This will be back to like factory. But again, I'm having to do a ton more work than I would have had I just patched in a new side panel. So another note is, most of this just looks like surface rust, and so I think I'm going to be able to clean that up, wire wheel it up, and save this truck drop off. And of course, this piece here, I'm going to cut all that out. But yeah, just a little update on this deal here. Run into that issue, and haven't seen anything online anywhere that anyone's talked about this. So that's the only thing I know to do, is cut that little tab off there. Alright, a little more progress. Been pretty busy, but got a little bit more done. Got most of the welds ground down. That's cleaned up fairly good. I'm gonna get some Osfo and try to get all this rust and stuff in out of these nooks and crannies. Got all this off, and I'm fixing to oh yeah, that cleaned up pretty good. I need to probably do a little bit more on it, but it's gonna be savable. I'm gonna try to fit the quarter panel and see how that looks. Alright, this is a little Hercules paint gun washer. I ended up getting it for free because it didn't have a motor on it. Well, come to find out, the motor's like 500 bucks for it. So I try to figure out a way to make it work without a motor. So here's what I come up with, and as most people know you can't just use like the solvent deal to clean paint guns and stuff. You have to use lacquer thinner. Well, lacquer thinner eats any kind of plastic. It eats, if you put a motor that has any kind of plastics in it, which most of them do, it's going to eat it up. They'll swell them up and screw them up. So what I've done is there's a pressure pot. I picked it up for, I don't know, 40 or 50 bucks at the pawn shop. Put a little regulator on it. It's run by air, so there's no parts to melt. What I'll do, and this is just, I'm running water through it right now just to show you guys what it is. It had this deal in it, and you're supposed to just stick your paint gun down in it and it's supposed to clean it. Well, they don't really work all that great. But this deal, I bought this and just pulled that deal out, ran me a deal so I can just clean it in here. So the way it works, put your lacquer thinner in there, clean your gun, it runs out into, which will be the waste can here. So I'll stick this little tube right here into there. So basically I'll just recycle it until it's no good. And it has a screen filter and all that right here. It was built into it. But anyway, let me show you how it works. So when you want to use it, and I may put a gate valve here just for a shut off, but plug that in and there you go. Runs right back out into the bucket here. You can regulate that flow. If that's too much flow, you can regulate it right there. Pretty cool deal. And like I said, it just runs. It'll run it right back into that can basically. So I've got two cans, the new thinner that I'll put in there, and then when it cycles through, we'll be back in there. But yeah, pretty happy with that. Like I said, if you try to buy one of these, I don't know what these are new. They're, I think, $700 or $800. So I said the motor's more expensive than a lot of it. So anyway, that's it. Done deal. Pretty cool. All right, there it is, sitting on there. It, I'm not gonna say it fits good, but it doesn't fit as bad as I was thinking. Well, I may be getting ahead of myself because I'm actually not even close, really. But fitting down here pretty good. In here, I'll just massage that. That probably needs to go underneath that, like that, and then clamp. I'll have to hang the door obviously here, make sure that this fits right here. I've got a lot. I'm gonna have to pull that quarter off God knows how many times. I had to trim this in here down. It was too wide to get that in. A little bit more trimming right here, and then of course I will make a little patch right there. Fitting up here pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Through here, not too bad. I've still got a piece, the old piece in here, so I'll have to work that a little bit more, but and take that out. I think, get a flashlight. You can see down in there, that's touching, and I've already ground on that a little bit. I'm gonna have to grind on it some more, and you know, round it off to where it'll fit a little better through there. Not fitting too bad in here, and then right here needs to go down, and obviously some sheet metal screws and stuff. Gotta work on this a little bit. I think there's something in there probably keeping that out a little little bit. And then back here, that gap, obviously I'm gonna have to work that. And I just saw that. I'm gonna have to work that and make it round, more round to fit this. But yeah, not any more than what I expected. So, and you can see right here that I cut that piece out to lay that in there, so I'll put holes through here and tack weld that on. That little piece is right there, and obviously I'll have to work that. That's gonna have to go in quite a bit farther, so there will be some slicing and dicing going on to get it to fit like it needs to, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. This area there obviously will have to come up, be worked up to get that back right. So, you know, just some more fitment. Like I said, I'll probably have to pull that off, no telling how many times to get it, you know, sitting right, but there it is. It makes it look like a car again. So, alright, little update. There you go. Before I took this panel off, you can see these marks, 5 1/8, 5 3/8. What I did was I measured from this point here out to this edge, all the way down, so that I'd have a good idea of where I'm at with this one. And I put the little points here also I can measure up from this end. But it's 5 1/8 right here, and it's about 5 1/2 or so. So it needs to go in, you know, that direction a little bit more. That was 5 3/8, and it's 5 3/4. So obviously there's a gap right there. It's going to have to be closed up, and that gap right there is probably at least 1/4 inch, probably 1/4 inch right at, yeah. So 1/4 inch. So moving that in 1/4 inch, it's going to close up that gap, and the issue I'll have is this is already touching in there, and it's already touching in here. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to either shave this down or this down to where that'll move in a little bit farther. Probably cut some of this channel back so I can get it in 1/4 inch farther. But that's probably what I'm going to have to do, is just modify this channel a little bit through here. So anyway, and then obviously the whole fender needs to come up probably at least 1/8 of an inch. You can see there.